a year and a half ago along 38, there was about 160 properties for sale. And now today you'll see over 800. The properties are priced high, but the challenge is getting the sellers to get the price to where it needs to be.
Okay, guys, we're down here in 30A, and I've got a special treat for you today. If you want to know all about 30A and how to buy a home down here, this is your chance right now. I've got the guy with me. So, Jay Johnson is my guest today. Jay was born in Opp, Alabama. He's been a friend of mine for about a couple of years now, and he graduated from Auburn, moved to Florida about 20 years ago to earn his law degree, and then he practiced law for about 10 years. Now he's been a Florida real estate agent for almost a decade, earned lots of awards with Berkshire Hathaway, Home Services Beach Properties, including Rookie of the Year, Chairman Circle Gold, and Luxury Collection Specialist. Now, Jay's lived here about 12 years, but his roots go back about 70 years, and we're going to talk about how his great aunt Lola built her first house on 30A, what's now Seaside. He and his wife Julia live just down the street here in Seagrove. Their boys Hank and Gip attended Seaside Neighborhood School. Gip's now a junior at Seacoast Collegiate High, and Hank's a freshman. Jay, good to see you, man.
Yeah, good seeing you, Mark. Yeah, always a pleasure, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like your hat there.
Thank you. Yours as well.
Yes, sir.
So, Jay, tell us how you got started. I mean, when I think of 30A, I do think of you, and that's kind of your motto. So, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that, Mark. Well, how I got started coming to 30A in general. I know you mentioned my aunt Lola, my great aunt. She grew up in Chipley, Florida, so not far from here, where my granddad grew up, and I was raised one county north of here in LA, Lower Alabama, a little small town called Opp, Alabama. And this is where we vacationed. Growing up, we'd come down here to see my family. A lot of my family owns places around here, and it was always a dream to move here. And so I got to Florida about 20 years ago to go to law school, and had to be creative. Not many law jobs around here right out the gate. And so I was down in Tampa and working for a big law firm, and they didn't have an office up here. So I worked out a deal with the partners of the firm to move up here and work remotely and cover the panhandle. And that was I got about 12 years ago now. And then my wife, Julia, I met her here as well. And her parents had a lot for sale on 30A over there in Little Redfish. And they said if she got a real estate license, then she could sell it. So I was still practicing law. We studied at the same time, got our real estate license. That was about 10 years ago.
Wow. It's been blowing and going ever since, right?
Yeah. And my goal initially when I first started was just to, go 5 million a year was the goal. So like an extra roughly 100 grand a year. And then just, got hooked on it and took it further than that.
So now you're really active in social media. You do the Friday Find. I always look forward to that, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
you started doing that. So you've seen a lot of changes in the market. What are you seeing right now that's going on down here since this sort of, change it's happening?
Yeah, currently what I'm seeing in the market is we have a lot of inventory. So, the kind of the top of our market was about a year and a half ago where you had, because every morning I'll drink my coffee and look at all the pendings, listings, and solds. I was just doing it before I met you here this morning. And a year and a half ago along 30A, there was about 160 properties for sale. And now today you'll see over 800. So about 5 times what we had. And so what I'm seeing right now is we got a lot of inventory, a lot of properties are priced high, but it's the challenge is getting the sellers to get the price to where it needs to be through price reductions. But if they, even if they don't, if property's been on a little while, what I'm seeing is if buyers make a low offer, even if it's 10 to 15%, if they're comfortable with that, I'm seeing a lot of deals get done that way because sellers, it depends on the seller and their motivation when they bought it. There's a lot of variables there, but a lot of times the sellers are happy to see an offer.
Right.
Maybe they've been on the market 3, 4, 5 months and hadn't seen one yet. And so when that offer comes in, then they take it seriously.
Right.
And then a lot of times they will counter back at their bottom number and deals get done that way.
Okay. What about cash versus financing? You seeing how much cash deals are you seeing? How many cash deals?
Mainly cash right
Mainly cash right
now.
now.
Yeah, the with the interest rates at roughly 7%. I hadn't seen many lending buyers recently. But with that being said, I had a conversation with a gentleman over the weekend. I was showing some rosemary properties, and that if they can get the property at a discount,
Hmm.
they're willing to do do an interest rate loan as well. But typically, right now, it's a lot of 1031 cash buyers, people that are selling properties, in the states where they came from, whether it's Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, and then, purchasing here.
Hmm. And what are you doing marketing wise? Talk to the viewers kind of what you do from a marketing standpoint, because you've you've stayed busy in a time where a lot of people are down, and not to say you're not down from maybe last year or whatever, but I know you kind of keep going a lot.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I was just looking at a Facebook group I'm in. I was looking last night. People were talking about if they're down or up, and everybody was commenting. And a lot of people, it seemed like they're down, like real estate agents are down half of what they were last year. But so it got me looking. I was just looking last night, so I'm right on and on pace to do better than I did last year.
That's great.
And the social media is huge. For me, my wife, I helped her build her network marketing business that she's had for about 12 years. And so we learned how to utilize social media, and it's free and it gives you a huge reach. And so the strategies I've found, I've been doing lately are as you mentioned, the Friday finds,
Yep.
do those videos from a property every Friday. And then, anytime you have a listing pending or sold, shout it from the mountaintops. You got to put it out there.
Right.
And then a lot of what I do is when I'm, having my coffee, looking at the listings, pendings, and solds each morning, I'll message my friends that own in those neighborhoods and say, "Hey, did you see this one or did you see that one?" And a lot of times that's through Facebook Messenger, because a lot of people, there's about 7 billion people in the world, and they say, you know, over 2 billion on Facebook. So there's a good shot that, whenever you meet somebody on the beach, they're going to be on Facebook typically.
But you do a lot of networking, right? Locally, you're in some groups. Network. Talk about that. How you've used that to leverage referrals and partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. So, one group that I met a lot of people through, there's a men's Bible study
Hmm.
here locally over at Destiny Worship Center, and sometimes that's usually over 50 men on total on Thursday mornings. Good leadership group, so that's a good one if people are looking to network down here to meet a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, and learn some leadership skills. And one year, what we did, my wife and I, we were in BNI 30A, Business Network
Yep.
International. Those are all over the world. You can just go online in your city, and in the big cities like Nashville, there's a bunch of them. But here, we just got one, here on 30A, and so we joined it, and it was helpful because it helped me meet a lot of the players in the community versus, like Marilla and I were just talking about a flooring guy I'm gonna connect her with. But there's different people you meet. There's an attorney in the group that has a title company, and so that's a good group to meet a lot of people, and because it is a small town and it's hard to know who to refer to. But those are but and you can also visit that group, even if you're not a member. But those are two great networking groups right off the top of my head.
So, people thinking about making a move here, what are some tips? What are 2 or 3 tips that you would give somebody who's thinking about a move or maybe an investment property here?
Yeah, so I would definitely come in October. The weather's amazing this month, and I really living here 12 years. I've grown to love the dead of winter too. It's not too crowded, and a lot of times, my wife and I will go for a beach walk. We do that every day, but in the winter, it's a lot of times it's just like us out there, so it's like a private island. But then there's other tips I've learned as well living here is like the restaurants kind of cater to the tourists, so it can get a little pricey, and so it's learning to find the happy hours.
Oh, yeah.
So today
It's a great point.
there's we're meeting a friend, a lawyer friend that's in town visiting from Tampa, and we're going to meet her to meet you for dinner.
Oh,
They have a
sure.
good over there at 30 Avenue. They have a good happy hour on food and drinks.
That's a great spot. That's a great spot. So, realtors, I know they often work kind of a regular 9 to 5 schedule, work life balance. How has that evolved for you? How do you maintain work life balance? Because you got family going, you got kids. I mean, I know at one time you're running both to school. Now Hank's at Auburn, but talk about that, how you maintain work life balance, but also maintaining a successful career.
Yeah, absolutely. So, order is important. It's important to, faith, family, then business. And then I learned you don't have much time time left to do other things. And, my goal, I was a trial lawyer in my past career. So I knew I didn't want to work 70 hours a week. So it's like how to do this in the most efficient way possible. And so my goal was to, keep under 20 hours a week. But it's the way I've found the best dollar per hour activity from the agent side I found is running open houses. So I like to run open houses when I'm in town 2 hours a day at my listings. And, instead of just I work from home. So instead of just sitting at the house, I've met a lot of people that way. Whether they be vacationers just coming by that maybe they don't buy that property or they're interested in purchasing another property, or whether it be an owner and
Mhm.
then they are thinking about buying that, and then that may lead to listing their properties. And so the open houses are key. Social media is key. So I, make sure to stay consistent on there. Like we mentioned with the Friday videos. And so those are two of the big drivers. And then just staying, top of mind with people and being very responsive.
Sure.
So I mean, I do work every day, but because you have to, a lot of times people are in town on vacation, they fly in and they're here on the weekends. And so that's when they want to see properties. But it's, you don't have to work all day.
Right.
A lot of times I'll take a phone call. I'm out there on the beach walking with my wife, and so it's mixing the business with the pleasure.
Killing 2 birds with 1 stone,
There
as they
you
say,
go,
yeah.
Mark.
So you probably got some funny stories or something. I bet you've got a funny story. Anything you wanna share that's like a funny story? Like, what's the wildest thing you've ever encountered or funniest thing with, like, a listing, appointment, or showing?
Yeah, I mean, there's been lots of them, but just off the top of my mind is just, I mean, the funny ones are when, I saw somebody post recently on social media. It is like you go to show a property and it hadn't been cleaned yet because this is a vacation rental land down here. So a lot of times the only time you can show property is like on a Saturday, 10 to 4 on the turns. The renters check out on Saturday and the next renters come on at 4 that afternoon. So sometimes it might not be as clean as you'd hoped for when you're showing a $5 million home. And
Right.
so those are, you just never know what to expect.
So, talk about, I mean, you've been rooted kind of here in the community. It's vital to do that. So, what can you share? How do you utilize your platform as a seasoned realtor, to give back to the community here, 30A?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to, not when I post on social media, it's not just business, related, it's lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so, every day we're posting pictures of the beach or videos, and being involved in the community, and helping guide people, when they do have questions. They don't, they need help as to, you say they just bought a house this past year. Well, they're not that familiar with the area, and so they need contacts for
Mhm.
people. And a lot of people, I'm one of the only lawyers a lot of people know around here too. So I'd say at least once a month somebody reaches out needing legal advice, and so I help connect them with lawyers with different expertise. But it's connecting them with people that they need to be connected with. I see is a huge asset because that's taken me living here 12 years to develop those relationships and know who to connect them with.
Right, right. I mean, I know it's been a trying time for a lot of people, 2021, different years than this year. Seeing a lot of anxiety of people just with, buyers, sellers, the agents, with the rates going up. What are you seeing out there with people dealing with stress? How are you seeing that play out in this market, which is really, really unique and challenging for some?
Yeah, with the stress, on the agent side, I think it's important to keep a healthy mindset. Every morning I start the day with some praise music and some, devotions, and being grateful and having a gratitude mindset. And
Mm.
in this business, we learned through my wife's business, it's a similar, it's a different type of sales, but it's sales, and this is more high ticket on the agent side. But as an independent contractor, which is what most of the real estate agents are, you what I've learned is you can have six closings in a month, or you can go 6 months without a closing. And so it's understanding that from the agent side, and so keeping your overhead low.
Yeah.
And then on the buyer and seller side, it's as I mentioned earlier, it's being patient. And on the sellers, it's um, you know I last heard our days on market is getting close to 150 days now. The
Oh,
average
wow.
days on market, so pushing about 5 months there. So it's being patient in that aspect with the sellers, and doing price reductions to to get the price to where it's getting the showings. The goal is to get the showings and lead to the offers. And so if you're not getting the showings, then that's a signal that you need to reduce the price. And on the buyer side, it's letting them know that a lot of markets are different. Like in Auburn, Alabama, we've been looking at property up there since our son's in school, and I was just looking there from last August 2022 to August 2023, their market's up about 16%, whereas that's not the case here.
Right.
So a lot of people from those markets might think that, oh, the price is the price.
Right.
So say it's $5 million. Well, it's letting the buyers know, well, if it's been on the market for several months, you may want to consider offering 10 to 15% off that, which is about $500,000 off.
Right.
And you might be surprised with the counter you find.
That's amazing. You've got places like that that are up, then down here. I didn't think I realized 150 days is now where we're at. So, um, what do you think is happening? What do you see happening as we move through winter and into 2024? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, typically down here, historically, our rental season, the heavy rental season's March to September, so spring break to Labor Day. And so the winter, we don't have as many vacationers, so the the owners aren't getting the rental income typically through those winter months like they'd see in the summer. So I anticipate more listings coming on the market, just as we see historically. And a lot of times what'll happen, like last year, for example, in January, I started seeing a lot more properties go pending after the new year, because on the flip side of that, buyers want to, it takes, 30 to 60 days to close. They want to catch the front end of that March rental season. And so, what I'm planning to do is just keep my head down like I'm doing, through the winter. Stay focused. I'm picking up more listings myself, and then I'm planning to run open houses through the winter on those properties to, market them as best
Okay.
I can.
Talk about your team. Would you have anyone on your team besides you? Talk about your setup.
Yeah, I'm a solo agent, and my wife, helps me as well with, like I helped her in her business. But it's, at this point, I have not grown to a team, because trying to maintain that lifestyle we talked about is important. And so, I understand I helped my wife grow a big team with her network marketing business. I know that adds, that can kind of take away from the
Mhm.
sales side, as start trying to maintain and grow a team. So yeah, just doing the single agent thing right
Right.
now.
What are you excited for coming up? What do you got coming up maybe this year personally, or any travel, anything like that? What do you got personally or business-wise that you're excited about coming up?
Yeah, well, personally, we going up to Auburn to visit our son up there next week for the Ole Miss game, Parents Weekend. So we've been having a lot of fun this year, going up and visiting him. And my other son, my swimmer, he's a competitive swimmer. We got the state championship coming up in a few weeks down in Ocala, so we'll go down there twice for regionals. And he swims with the Panama City swim team. And so, and then I really like Thanksgiving and Christmas time here at the beach.
Yeah.
It's a special time of year, and some days you might have weather like this on Christmas
Sure.
Day.
Sure.
It might. Last Christmas it was about 30 degrees, but other Christmases it's been, you can lay out on the beach. So, yeah, super excited to just finish out this amazing year.
I like what you said I really like what you said right there before about with your mindset when you first wake up with praise music, getting your mind right, gratitude. I mean, I think starting your day out at the beginning of the day with a mindset that's of, abundance, you
Mhm.
know, God is with me, I can do this, and realizing that, you're not alone, and that you've got a lot to be thankful for. I just think that's important. I mean, I agree. I think that's a
Absolutely.
huge thing. So
Find the joy in the journey.
that's right. That's right. Jay, thanks for coming,
Yeah,
man. I really
absolutely,
appreciate it.
Mark.
Always.
Enjoyed it,
Yeah,
man.
always.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Guys, we'll see you next time. And always remember, when you think of 30A, think of Jay.
Thank y'all.
All right. See you guys.